right, good morning, everyone. This is Gary Ryan here for the Fed League Flash, and it is Sunday. 2 more days to the first game. Yes, it's an exhibition game, but that's okay. Doesn't matter. Start of the Fed season. All right, so today we are going to look at the Port Huron Prowlers. Yesterday we were looking at the Motor City Rockers, and so today we are taking a look at their I-94 rival, the Prowlers. And for a little while, I was kind of worried about this team. Um, they had a lot of signings come in as of late, and that they do have a couple people that are um, up in the SPHL, which I'll mention in a little bit. But for the most part, looks like most everybody who was with the team last year is coming back this year. Now, last year there was a remarked improvement over the year before. The old, 2 years ago, the Prowlers really struggled, just kind of eked into the playoffs. Then last year, they finished fourth in the Continental, which was still a little bit behind Motor City and then, of course, Carolina and Columbus. But they made some noise. First playoff game, Tucker Scantlebury almost pulled off a miracle for them, and um, it just didn't quite happen. But they're looking to build again. Matt Graham is back for a third season as coach slash GM. So we'll see how things go. We're going to break them down again. Remember, for the sake of argument, I use a 10-7-2 formula for the final roster. This is an idea of what I think the roster might look like. Again, whether the Prowlers do 10-7-2 or something else, that's up to them. But again, this is just to give you an idea of who's going to be part of the team, who's going to be playing. Now, there are some question marks. First of all, Wyatt Hofflin, no word on if he is going to be returning. A last conversation I had with Will Wiggleman, so far, no Hofflin, so it looks like it's going to be down to 3 goaltenders trying out for the position between the pipes. Larry Vartiainen, haven't heard anything back from him. Obviously, that would be a huge boost if he did come back, but I have not heard anything as of yet. And then Matthias Tellstrom, his plan was to play in Slovakia. As of yesterday, as I looked and researched, that has not happened. So there is a possibility of Tellstrom coming back. Now, he was with Watertown last year, and Prowlers obtained him in a trade. But Tellstrom could be back, although he does have 6 games left to serve on a 10-game suspension that he received late in the year last year. So we'll see how things go. All right. So first, between the pipes. Okay, there's my time. All right. This is where the biggest question mark lies with this team. Right now, their de facto number 1 is Chris Paulin. Paulin is looking to come back, prove to everybody he's ready. He can make a big difference. He can steal games for his club. Again, he is the active wins leader in the Fed right now with 51 wins overall. Did have major knee surgery last year. And of course, a couple of years back, he also had hip surgery done. So, he's starting to become like the $6 million man. Everything's like bionic and metal and plastic and everything like that. So is he ready to become that elite level goaltender that he was a couple years back with the Carolina Thunderbirds? We will see. All right. The second goaltender we talk about just got signed, Makar Sokolov. He played last year for the first half of the year as Trevor Martin's backup in Delaware, which unfortunately meant he hardly played. He only logged 94 total minutes because Trevor Martin was just so phenomenal. But he played steadily and well in the time that he did get. So the Prowlers are banking on Sokolov taking the next step in his development. And then there's the rookie, David Anderson. Um, at this point, I think your pairing is probably Paulin and Sokolov, but again, a lot of questions there. Now, where there are not questions are with the defense. Uh, this team has a very experienced defensive group. All seven, what I would see as the seven leading candidates to make this team on defense, spent time last year with the Prowlers playing some games. So, of course, first you have Austin Federley and assistant GM player, assistant coach Alex Johnson. Alex Johnson had the best season that he had had in his career, so that's a good first pairing. And then you also have Frank Schumacher and Adam Heinzel. Heinzel, I thought, started the year off a little bit slow, but as the year went on, you saw marked progress from him. And he became just a solid all around defenseman. I think Heinzel is going to continue that trajectory upwards in his development. So I'm looking for a very good year from Heinzel, as well as Frank Schumacher. Schumacher is very dependable as well, very experienced. And then you have Matt Stoya. He's coming back. Now, Stoya can jump in at forward if needed, but obviously, the best thing he can do, I think, early in the season is help out on defense. Brian Parsons comes in, as does Dalton Young. So that leaves three rookies who are probably competing for a job, maybe for one of those 4-game contracts. You have Matthew Brown, Kenyon Carta, and Braden Deck, all looking to crack the lineup. All right, the forward groups. I've got 8 penciled in as these guys are going to be on the opening day roster unless something happens, because this time of year things happen. All right, so just looking at the first line, Matt Graham, Dalton J, Evan Foley, made quite an impact last year. That was the bulk of the offense from the team, but there's also secondary scoring. Sam Merritt just signed yesterday. He's back. You have I listed Foley twice. Okay, Chartrand and who? What did I mess up on? I just realized I have Foley and Foley. Chartrand is there. Okay, this is not Foley. This is Phil Brubacher. I'm so sorry. Brubacher has a wealth of experience across many leagues, and so he's going to be looked at as a good leader, a good mentor to the younger players. Put Brubacher in there. Or Bushbacher, excuse me. I said Brubacher. Bushbacher. Phil Bushbacher. Boy, I'm having a hard time. Poor Phil. I'm sorry, Phil. All right, but Bushbacher does, again, have a great amount of leadership experience, so he's going to be a big part of this club. Okay, so you have Sam Merritt, Bushbacher, and Dan Chartrand. Chartrand is kind of one of these, Claude Lemieux, Esatikanen kind of guys. Has nice scoring touch, but he can also get under your skin and poke the bear a little bit. Or in this case, poke the rocker a little bit. So I'm thinking, that's a good second line. Again, these aren't necessarily the way the lines are going to be, but gives you an idea. And then, of course, you have Sam Gagnon, who just signed, and Dalton Anderson, who comes over from Elmira. Those are the 8 that I have as, I think you can pretty much say these guys are going to be there. And then there's a couple of players that are also up in the SP right now. If they have a chance to crack the SP lineup or not, it's going to take a couple more weeks before we know that. But Liam Freeburn is in Peoria's camp. David Nippard and Tucker Sandleberry are up in. Actually, I'm sorry. Nippard is also in Peoria, and then Tucker Sandleberry is in Huntsville. The one player who won't be back most likely is Vincent DeCumbus. He got hurt early last year, missed the last half of the year, and I was really rooting for him to have a breakthrough year this year. He has elected to play in Switzerland and is already playing, so I don't think we're going to see DeCumbus back. But Freeburn, Nippard, and Scantlebury, whether they come back, it's possible. All right, so anyway, you got 8 players or 7 players fighting for 2 spots right now. You have Rocco Bonafini, you have Dion Demke, David David Gaeta, Alexis Austin Kovis, and then Brandon Picard, Tristan Sim, and Bowie Slarks all fighting for a spot. So the question is, do they keep their wide open attack going like they had last year? There were a lot of 7-5 games with Port Huron last year. The games were very high scoring, a lot of goals given up, but a lot of goals scored as well. And why not when you have Graham and Jay and Foley and Chartrand and Merritt and Johnson on the back end? Why not? I mean, there's a lot of offensive potential on this team. But do they keep that, or do they reel things in a little bit defensively? That'll be an important key, I think, to their success. Goaltending, is Paulin healthy? If he struggles early, what happens then? That's a big question mark right now. And do they have enough depth to keep up in the standings with the Rockers, with the River Dragons, with the Thunderbirds? Right now, I kind of see them as kind of more of a second-tier team. I'm picking them for 4th, just like last year. But again, it's a long season. You never know what might happen. So we will see. Now, as we look at the schedule, I forgot to mention that they're the only team, the Prowlers are the only team to play every team. A couple teams they only play once, but in their division, of course, they play the Rockers 19 times. They take on Mississippi 6 times, Baton Rouge 4, Carolina 6 times, and then the River Dragons, they just play once. Meanwhile, in the Empire Division, they'll take on the Binghamton Black Bears once, and Danbury 5 times, Elmira and Watertown 6 each, and then the Blue Ridge Bobcats 2. So there's 36 games intra-division, 20 games outside of the division. So their schedule is a lot more balanced than most of the other teams. That could be a blessing or a curse, as all the other teams potentially fight within the division against a few other teams. There could be a war of attrition, and that could help potentially Port Huron in the end in their climb in the standings, but it could also end up biting them in the butt. We'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, the game's not played on paper or whiteboard. It's played on ice. All right, so that is it. That's our look at the Prowlers, and I hope you enjoyed this. Tomorrow on Spotify, remember we're on Spotify tomorrow, not on YouTube, I'm going to be looking at the Mississippi Seawolves and the hard climb they've got ahead of them after some recent developments. All right, I am Gary Ryan for the Fed League Flash. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to tune in tomorrow on Spotify. Until then, have a wonderful, wonderful week.